you on the laptop one?
Yeah.
Right, let's try it. Because, like, Facebook is free, you know?
I didn't even know you can do this.
Yeah, I've always seen the icons, but I've never called anyone through it, so at least we can see each other. And it's Facebook, so hopefully it's not going to take too much, you know.
Yeah, I was just hoping Mark Zuckerberg must just not fucking use my microphone when I did not allow him to.
Him and the aliens, him and his fellow lizard people.
Yeah. The aliens are fine, I just don't like that particular alien.
Yeah. Lizard alien, yeah. I never thought that remote recording would be this difficult, like, for goodness sake.
Neither did I. But like I said, luckily, my case isn't too long. Because I had studies, I had exams, but that's done now.
Yay.
So I can get back to actually researching longer cases. I still research, don't get me wrong, I still spend some time on this, but it's just even though it's a super recent case, like it literally happened this year, it's kind of an open-closed case.
Okay.
But there's still frustration.
Ah, of course, always.
But how was your week?
How was my week? It was okay, yeah. Nothing, special. Oh, I got myself a new sparkly pen for my diamond dot stuff. Ooh. See, it's got, like, glittery things.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, it's pink.
Yes.
So, I was like, why not?
Is that to, like, put the dots on?
Yeah. And then I got, like, there's attachments on these, like, just $20 extra, but for the attachments, so you can do, like, 4 at once or 5 at once or something for, like, the big areas. Because I have not made progress on this freaking peacock. I've done, like, a round.
Oh, you have a peacock now.
It's quite a big boy.
Oh, wow. But that is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's going to look so nice when it's done.
Yeah, I had to pick it because I was like, there's so many nice colours and stuff. It's always fun when it's really colourful and bright, which is ironic.
Yeah. Because you're not colourful.
Yeah, everything else, like my clothes are always so dark and, you know, there's only so much colour.
Your personality is the colourful thing.
Oh, speaking of personality, I finally actually bothered to look, and I have a Scorpio Moon.
That's intense.
Freaking Scorpio! Why?
Of course. It's also a water sign. So you have an air sign for your sun, and then a water sign. We're both water signs. Our moon signs are both water signs or elements. And then what's your rising?
There's a thing that says one ascend, and then it's Capricorn. Okay, well, I said 2.
My ascendant. Oh, okay.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
I don't have any idea. I don't have much more idea, but so your ascendant is Capricorn, as far as I can see.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of tarot this week as well, because I was like, I'm so out of practice with everything, so trying to get back into like active practice, like learning this stuff.
Okay. I was also thinking about actually doing the tarot, like learning the spread. And just actually starting it yesterday.
Okay.
I was on Pinterest looking at like,
nice.
I know Pinterest isn't a handbook, but it is nice as like a just, I don't know, giving you ideas and stuff like that, I guess.
And I found nice cheat sheets for the tarot on Pinterest as well, so that's always helpful. And I mean, people learn things and then they share it there, so it's a resource for learning, so there's nothing wrong with Pinterest. I mean, you can learn a lot everywhere you go. But yeah, I think it's definitely to do with this full moon, because like I felt that so strongly. Like the day before the full moon, I was so angry the whole day. Like I was raging. Even Bass was in like a really bad mood. And then the day after, like on the day of the full moon, like I was my old self and I was like really, really happy. Like I'm talking like years before all the drama and crap started, like super happy, super focused. And I was like, cool, okay, so I guess the cycle is over and now I'm on to the next chapter, which is so nice.
I was just about to say, maybe it is an end of a cycle for you, and
definitely.
You know, it was just kind of almost like a rebirth. Yeah, so have a look at the Astro Seed.
The works thing is blocking it as cult or occult. It's not the
Then
first
works
one.
should just block you.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the first site, like, in the last few days I've gone on and the works antivirus is blocking it as cult or occult. It's like, what's wrong with cult or the occult? Like, hello, have you heard of the podcast? Weird. Have you met me? Hello.
They're British. They're very conservative. They have a history of witches.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they're so conservative, but they're witches. Come on. They're so conservative, but they're taking over countries and using war to threaten everybody's existence. So conservative. What?
You sounded like the Queen.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I have been practicing. I'm like Queen Lizzie. I've not been practicing. It comes naturally.
The only way I can do a British accent is if I start reciting Harry Potter lines.
Oh, I thought you were going to say my dad read a book. Oh, yes. I'm still so excited that Rocky Flintstone followed me back on Twitter, and I'm still being followed by him.
Yes!
He hasn't unfollowed me yet, which is so great.
That is amazing. Did you tweet him?
I did actually tweet him, but then he didn't respond or anything, so I was like, cool. But he's still following me, which is so awesome. I wonder if it's because it says on my Twitter that I do podcasting as well, and maybe he's like, oh, you're one of those media types. Like, it's on Jamie.
Like, it's on Jamie. He's branching out. He wants to branch out into South Africa. He wants to bring the amusement park here. They can replace Rotanga with it.
Oh my goodness. That would be so amazing. I love it so much. Anyway. Oh yeah, I didn't ask you, how was your week?
My week is okay.
Despite exams?
Yeah, it's just, well, I'm done now, thank goodness.
Yay!
And yeah, now we must just postpone our flights for the UK. I wanted to go over Halloween, but then I forgot that my dad at the timeshare booked us a holiday for the end of November. But yeah, other than that, it's been a good day.
Before I forget, this Sunday, when this episode comes out, is Father's Day. So, happy Father's Day to all the dads, all the father figures. Thank you for being a dad. Thank you for being a father figure to people. And hope you have a really good day.
Yeah, happy happy Father's Day. Happy Sunday.
Happy Son's Day. And also happy Father's Day to all the fur dads. Fur baby dads.
Yes, that too.
Yeah. Whether your child is human or animal. Happy Father's Day.
Yes.
Whether your animal is human or your humans are animals. I went to the mall today. So I went to that, what's that shop that sells the the dried fruits and the stuff like that? That's next to Clicks. Yes, I just got him a nice hamper because I was like, I have no freaking idea what to get for you.
Yeah, we also usually end up just buying, it's just the thought that counts at the end of the day. Yeah, but we usually also buy a treat or something like that.
A treat?
He loves
for the doggy.
Turkish delight.
Oh, ew.
I don't like it either.
I hate Turkish delight. My mom loves it. Like, why, Mom?
I can't.
The texture.
It's it's the jelly. I hate it.
It's it's not even nice soft jelly. It's like that hard jelly that forms on the sides of the bowls if it's been left for too long.
No jelly in my life. I hate jelly. In general, I don't eat jelly. I don't know if you know these things, but when I was younger, there used to be these almost jelly sweets covered in, it would be different characters and stuff like that, and then they'd cover it in sugar, and then it's on a stick, like a lollipop.
No.
But it's more like a jelly consistency. Oh my gosh, I hate those things.
No, but when you were talking now, I had flashbacks of the bubblegum I used to buy at the Spice Girls bubblegum, and it had the stickers of them on there.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just thought about how old I am, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Like today when I was driving around, and then the Sugar Babes started playing on the radio, and I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't heard them in forever. And then I remembered how old I am, and I'm like, oof. Yes. Before I get the wrong idea and go, you're gonna miss the thing that I control. Wow, that lag is beautiful.
And I was singing in time with you. That lag is horrible. I hate segueing into these things because you can't segue into it.
Segue into this wonderful story.
So, let's just start off with a disclaimer. So the following story contains graphic content and might not be suitable for everyone. The sources I use to find the information will be listed below as every week, and everything I say is my own opinion unless it's stated as fact, and I mean no disrespect towards anyone that I speak about. Why are you laughing?
Because you said sources and I remembered your email. List of sources.
My subject on the email was ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, Tabasco.
Which I read as tobacco, like an idiot, so I had no idea why she was putting a shopping list as a subject. I am so smart.
That does sound like my shopping list, though. So, like I said, my case is quite short this week. Just because it's short doesn't mean it doesn't have a very large impact on, myself. And I feel like, especially this case, is just another one of those cases that I think really stuck with the community as well. And, yeah, it's just really infuriating all around, as usual. So today I'm going to be covering the case of Natasha Boisser. So Natasha Boisser was a 32-year-old mom of one, and she was described as being very kind and loving. On the 2nd of January 2022, so like I said, this year, Natasha, who lived in Piketberg, was spending time with a family who were visiting from Paarl. So Natasha and her family were walking around town, taking pictures and spending time together. I mean, it's over the festive period as well. Yeah. Second day of the year, so, just spending some family time together. So Natasha phoned her partner, Constable Richard Smith. Oh.
Richard, the cat. Mm-hmm. I'm just picturing the cat.
Richard, the cat.
The cat dressed up as a constable. That's adorable.
Not this constable.
Never mind. So
he's 36 at the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Richard, Dick. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
So she phoned Richard Smith to let him know, quote, in a soft, sweet voice, she told him she was spending the day with her family and he should not pick her up. Okay. So according to Natasha's cousin, Smith constantly called her while they were taking photos in town, like basically wanted to know where she was and, just very possessive behavior from what I could understand when I was reading all of these things. Quote, we were on our way back home when a boyfriend arrived with his car, unquote, another cousin stated. So Smith arrived and Natasha reportedly went out to talk to him, but she didn't want to get in his car and go away, or go home or whatever, or go with him. And I also read in one of the sources, I didn't write it down, but I remember reading it, that one of her family members even saw them holding hands and, so it didn't look like there was a fight happening per se. But what was unfortunately known by the family is that he had been abusing Natasha for years and he had isolated her from her family. To quote one of my sources, so this is where shit went down. Quote, in the CCTV footage, which has been shared with the Daily Voice, Natasha is seen sitting at the driver's window of Smith's blue Renault Sandero. Her aunt, wearing a yellow dress, walks to the couple and then the two women walk away from the vehicle. Suddenly, Natasha and her aunt are seen running and over 10 shots are fired from the car and Natasha is seen collapsing in the street.
No.
Smith reportedly was off duty and had also, allegedly, he had been drunk when he shot Natasha in cold blood in front of her son. I also read some sources that said he was under the influence of drugs as well during the time. I don't know. He was either drunk or high. Doesn't matter. It doesn't justify it.
Yeah.
What about all the other times he was abusing her? Yeah. And even if he was drunk or high during all the other times he was abusing her, that's still not an excuse.
Yeah. It does sound like they're just trying to find a way to make it seem less than what it is. Which is typical abuser behavior.
Exactly. Smith reported, already said that, he resigned as a police officer in March before he was supposed to make his appearance in front of an internal police hearing. So he resigned.
Okay.
Which is wild to me as well. Okay. he could just resign in March after he shot his girlfriend in cold blood in January.
Yeah. You should be like, no,
Okay.
you're not doing anything until this investigation is over.
Yeah, I don't understand how that works.
Yeah.
According to Captain F.C. van Wyk, a police spokesperson, he was charged with murder, attempted murder, and use of a firearm in a public area, and he was set to appear in court in January. I also read that this wasn't the first time that he threatened to hurt people or women,
Right.
So he definitely had a history of this type of behavior, or at least like abusive behavior, not necessarily in going as far as murdering people, but definitely in terms of assault and abusing people. So on the 17th of February, when they were set to meet in court for a bail judgment, Smith was facing 7 charges, including the murder of Boisser, who was Natasha, 2 counts of attempted murder of Rosalind Kaiman and Erin Pleikes, discharging a firearm in a public area, handling a firearm while under the influence of a substance which has an intoxicating or narcotic effect, and 2 counts of assault. But this had to be postponed to the 24th of February because Smith's lawyer was sick. Magistrate Peter Leon Grindeling was not impressed by the lawyer's absence, and he quote, ordered that Booth, William Booth is his lawyer. William Booth is also a very, very well-known criminal lawyer, prosecutor.
That sounds very
lawyer.
familiar.
He's definitely done some other high-profile cases as well. I can't name any off the top of my head, but he's a very, very well-known criminal lawyer. I think my uncle knows him because my uncle works in. He's a police officer. I don't know what his rank is though. So quote. He ordered that Booth or another lawyer be present at court at 9 a.m. at the next appearance in order to deal with the bail application. Natasha's family were rightfully frustrated with the perceived privileges Smith was receiving. Quote, I want to talk about the frustration that we have as a family and as a community, especially Natasha's son, this morning asking, is he going to be released today? I could hear the fear in his voice. As a 12-year-old, I don't think it's fair that he has to go through this. The privileges that he is getting, especially from his ex-colleagues, isn't fair. His family can hug him, give him food parcels after the sign states you can't give food. The other thing is, we can't hug her. It's been months. It's been 3 months. It's sore. He didn't think twice to shoot her.
Yeah.
Unquote.
Oh, that's so sad.
On the 28th, I know.
And that poor kid. To see
my
that.
heart, honestly.
Oh,
He was 11.
that's that
He's
poor child.
So young, but also not.
Yeah, he's old enough to know.
Not
like,
young, not so young that he. Exactly.
Yeah. Sure.
So on the 28th of April, Smith made another appearance in court. He was in the midst of his bail application, and he told the court that should his bail be awarded, he intends to live with his brother in Strandfontein in Cape Town, which is about, I think, 100 kilometers away from Piketberg or something like that.
Okay.
It's quite a bit. It's quite far from Piketberg. The community, however, was firmly against this proposal. The South African reported, quote, members of the Piketberg community were vehemently opposed to the accused being released on bail, while residents of Strandfontein, which is more than 100 kilometers away, also do not want to have him there.
Sure.
Unquote.
Yeah.
So in another quote, Smith's lawyer, William Booth, requested the matter to stand down so that he can consult with his client and also contact the brother and sister-in-law of the accused who provided the address. And then the matter was again postponed to the 17th of May.
Jeez.
So closing arguments have been postponed to the 4th of July. And the bail verdict is only expected on the 19th of July. And as always, I'm going to try and update everyone as soon as news does come out. Natasha's family again expressed their disdain over the dragging bail application. Quote, "To be honest, we are fed up with the things that are happening in this case. The case is constantly being postponed, and every time this happens, Natasha's son asks me if Smith is coming out, as he is scared. I have to constantly convince him that he is not coming out. The children are extremely fearful. At the same time, we are sad, and for as long as the court case drags on, with no justice served, our hearts will remain sore." Meanwhile, Smith's attorney acts if he can do anything he likes in court. "Our hands are tied. If it was someone else that had done the same thing, they would have been sent to jail immediately. But because it's Smith, he has to get special treatment. Smith killed Natasha like a dog," was a quote that one of the family members said. And that's literally the end of this.
Oh, that's so sad.
And it's frustrating because justice isn't being served because, like they said, he's getting special treatment at this at this stage. He shot her in front of witnesses.
Yeah.
In front of CCTV footage. What is taking so long?
Yeah.
He shouldn't be getting bail.
Yeah, there's like, what more do they need? He's off duty. There's no crime in progress. Like, there's absolutely no reason for it. Like, you're not even supposed to have your service weapon on you if you're off duty. Isn't that, like, the rule?
Exactly.
So, that
is... If you hear clinking, Patrick is eating soup.
And obviously forgets that we're recording.
Sorry.
Now he's just sitting there.
Oh my word. That's crazy. Like, like you say, there shouldn't be, there's no reason it should be taking this long. It is open and shut.
What's the fucking hold up? Yeah.
Just because he was
exactly.
The fact that he was a cop makes it so much worse that he did that. Because if you look at the history of serial killers, how many of them went to the army, the navy, were cops, whatever? Like, they were all security guards in some sort of position of power where they're supposed to be protecting, in quotes, and like they just do all this horrible stuff. Like, you should be judged like twice as hard.
I fully agree. From what I did read somewhere that he did have, like, because he was off duty, and that he did hand in his weapon, but then I don't know if he had another weapon. You know, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. He still had a fucking weapon. I don't believe it was a service pistol, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. It's It almost makes it feel...
I don't understand what the fucking hold-up is.
Yeah, it almost makes it feel like a bit premeditated if it's not. Like, he's trying to cover him. It's like, I didn't use my service pistol. I used a different weapon, my personal one. You know, like... Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying it feels icky. That, like, thought just jumps to mind.
No, he's icky, yeah.
Ugh.
No, it's...
Gross.
I honestly, I don't understand why... why justice isn't being served. And I use the term justice loosely because I am very aware that nothing will ever really bring justice because she's gone.
Yeah,
it's you can't just say sorry. Like, there's nothing that you can do to make the situation better.
I mean, justice...
But the fact that he's being allowed to just fucking postpone his... the dates the whole time, or the hearings and the court appearances the whole time is just blows my mind.
At this point, justice would be in the form of giving that poor boy some peace of mind and some relief from the fear so that he can deal with the trauma and try and move on with his life, even though his life is, like, just beginning, you know, like, for him at least. I'm sure she would have wanted for him to have some peace, at the very least. Which is and that poor boy has to live his life without his mom. And without his dad, right? Because that was his dad? No,
Dad
no.
is never mentioned.
Okay.
So no, that's not his dad.
Okay, thank
I don't believe
goodness.
that's his dad. And
I would hope not,
no.
because that would be even more tragic, because then you basically lose both parents at
Yeah.
once.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's his father.
Okay, good.
I think it was just her boyfriend, partner.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't it's not, they weren't married from what I read.
Yeah.
And she was also still so young. She was 32.
Yeah.
You know, she still had her whole life ahead of her.
That is so freaking sad. Yeah, that's... Oh. And the mom made it out without any wounds. Was she hit by any of the bullets?
The aunt.
Oh, was it the aunt? Sorry, the aunt,
her.
yeah.
Yeah, from what I read, I don't think she was injured. I didn't read anything about
Yeah.
her being injured. So I'm not
That's good.
100% sure, but I don't believe she was injured as well.
And the guilt the aunt might feel, you know, like survivor's guilt and things like that. It's just, it affects so many people in so many ways. It's just why? Why do you have to be that way?
That was my case.
I don't enjoy when you do your cases.
I know, I don't either. But from, like, what I have realized from doing these cases, as difficult as they are, a lot of these cases don't get a lot of media attention,
for
you
sure.
know, or it gets media attention for like a very, very short period of time and then like kind of dies out.
Yes.
And it's not even front page news half of the time,
'cause it's so
unless
frequent.
it's a very gruesome thing or unless it's a very gruesome case. Exactly.
Oh,
so
that's sad.
I'm sad that I'm doing them, but I'm also happy that
yeah.
I'm doing them.
I'm glad that you're doing them, but I'm also not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it sucks when we're recording it and editing it, but it's good that it's out there and that maybe, you know, the right person will hear it. Because, I mean, I've never heard of this case.
I hope so.
I haven't heard a thing about it.
I haven't either, and it happened this year.
That's crazy. And it's not, like, far from us. It's not, like, a different country. It's in the same country, and we haven't even heard about it. Like, how many more crimes, like, go on every day that you just have no idea?
Exactly.
Ugh. I don't know. My story, I don't know how long it's going to be. I actually had to copy my story onto, because I usually do it in Notepad++ because it saves automatically, but I had to copy it into Microsoft Word because I had to literally make the names in different colors so that I knew who I was talking about, because it's just like the same kind of, like one of those family name situations where they name the son this and then the other son gets the same name and it's like, okay guys, I can't keep track, I don't know who I'm talking about.
I never understood that.
I mean, I always...
Like, you already have a family surname.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against being called, like, the second or the third or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, in my family, there's a lot of the males called Robert, and then my mom's, one of her names is Roberta. So they, like, gave her the sort of family name as well. So... It's like, okay, because if you look at, like, back in the family tree, you're like, okay, you had that. My dad's side has a lot of Charles and Henry goes up the... Yeah. So I'm covering the Lemp Mansion. This is in America. So the family line starts with Johann, or... his name is also Adam, but it's in quotes in some sources. I don't know if that's, like, his English name or something, I don't know. But Johann Adam Lemp. He was born in Groningen, or also Polheim in Germany. Okay, I don't know. I didn't ask Pabst to pronounce it for me. This was in 1798 that he was born, which is forever ago.
Wow.
He moved to the USA in 1836, and by the time it was like November 1841, he was a naturalized citizen in America. So Johann Lemp had settled in St. Louis, Missouri. As I was doing this, I was like, wait a minute. Why does this sound familiar? Didn't you just laugh at me like last week about...
St. Louis?
No, remember last week we also mentioned it, and it's like St. Louis or St. Louis? I don't know. I mean, they're American. They don't say St. Louis, do they? St. Louis?
Yeah.
I don't know. Missouri.
I think it's St. Louis. Yeah, I think we had this conversation.
Yeah, we did.
And I edited, yeah, no, I'm sure we did.
Yeah. So, yeah, he settled in St. Louis, Missouri in 1838, which was 2 years after he moved to America. So I don't know where he first was. So he was a grocer, and there are records of him being a grocer in the St. Louis City Directory from 1840 to 1841. His grocery store was called A. Lemp and Co. Along with groceries, he also sold his own handmade vinegar and beer, which was brewed using a recipe that he got from his father. So it seems like brewing and recipes and things like that was just like something in the family. So the beer that he made became so popular that within 2 years he gave up the grocery store and he instead opened a brewery. Lemp sold his beer in a small pub that was then attached to the brewery, and it was the first lager introduced to St. Louis. So after a short while, the brewery was just too small to handle the production and the storage of the beer. So Lemp found a limestone cave, like an underground cave, which he kept cold with chunks of ice from the Mississippi River, which was nearby. So he basically created his own cold storage facility in these caves. And
That's
then,
cool.
and then by the 1850s, Lemp's Western Brewing Company was the biggest in the city. And in 1858, his beer won first place in the St. Louis Annual Fair. The Lemp Brewery retained a position on top until Prohibition hit.
Oh.
So Johann Lemp was a millionaire by the time he died, which is insane for the time. And that was by, the 25th of August in 1862. That's when he died. So he started this basically in like 1840. That's when he started. And by 1862, so in 20 years, he was a millionaire.
Damn.
So his son, William, had been born in Germany in 1835. This son then moved to the United States and he began to expand the brewery. He took over control of the company. He purchased a piece of land above the brewery caves, and it was around like 5 blocks. Like it was quite a big piece of land. And then construction and expansion continued, and then the brewery itself was eventually like 5 city blocks big. Like it was massive.
What?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So in 1868, William Lemp's father-in-law, Jacob Fickert, built a house relatively close to the brewery. So that's kind of the timelines moved around here. But yeah, so in 1876, William purchased the house from the father-in-law and used it as a residence for himself and his family, and also as kind of like a office for the brewery. And he began renovating the already large house until it was expanded to 33 rooms. So it was huge. Yeah.
For what?
And then there was a tunnel that went from the mansion through the caves into the brewery. It was just all connected. Yeah. So
Were they supplying beer to like that whole area?
they were just the one of the top
'cause he was a millionaire.
producers. There were other beer companies as well.
Jeez.
Yeah. This is a quote. By the middle 1890s, the Lemp Brewery gained a national presence after introducing the popular Falstaff beer, which is still brewed today by another company. End quote. William and his wife, Julia Fakert, had 4 sons. And his favorite son, Frederick, died from heart failure at 28 years old. He died from heart failure in 1901. He was never particularly healthy and had like health problems all of his life. And then I think it was just too much for him. Yeah. And William was never the same after he lost his son. He was very rarely seen out in public. He kept to himself. He seemed like very anxious and paranoid and things like that. And then in 1904, which is just 3 years later, on January 1st, his closest friend, Frederick Pabst, also died and left William to run part of the brewery. So that is Pabst, like the American beer. I think it's Pabst Blue Ribbon or something is like that beer. So he helped.
Like Pabst smear.
Oh my goodness, no. Pabst.
Pabst.
Yes. The Pabst beer. Oh my goodness. That's gross.
I hate that it rhymes.
Yeah, that's gross. Okay. So yeah, William had a hand, as, you know, he's in charge of this brewery, he had a hand in growing the Pabst beer, like, brewery, and basically growing that company and label, because it's still going in America. Yeah. William, these 2 losses were just a lot for him. He began to decline. The stress was too much, the loss, and it was affecting his mental health. And then on February 13th in 1904, which is the same year that his friend died, that was actually the next month, he completed suicide via gunshot to the head using a .33 caliber Smith & Wesson gun. Yeah, he couldn't anymore.
Couldn't go on.
Yeah. And then a few months later, this is where I had to do the color coding because now we're on to the next William Lemp, but it's William Lemp Jr. It's his son. So the man who just completed suicide, it's his son now. A few months later, so the same year, but November 1904, William Lemp Jr. took over from his late father and became the president of the brewing company. He and his wife Lillian inherited a large fortune and the entire business, and they began spending. They had servants, carriages, art, clothing, the finest dining, They were basically millionaires,
Blew it.
Well, no.
Because they blew all them.
No, jeez, that would be hectic. Lillian was beautiful and also came from money. So she also had her own, she was also wealthy by her family. So they married in 1899.
Okay.
So this was actually before he took over from his father. This was before his father died that they got married in 1899. And that's actually nice. In the 26th September 1900, William J. Lemp III came into the world. So William Lemp could actually see his grandson, which is nice.
Yeah.
You see why I had to color code? Yeah, so at least he got to meet...
100%.
He got to see his son getting married and have his grandson. He could see all of that at least. But, clearly it wasn't enough to bring peace to him in any way. So, the 26th September 1900, William J. Lemp III was...
He probably had depression. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So much stress, I'm sure, for such a big business and then so much loss. So, William Lemp Jr.'s wife, Lillian, she was soon called the Lavender Lady, because she loved the colour and she had everything that she could in that colour. She even had her horse carriages dyed lavender. Yeah.
Horse carriages?
The carriages, not the
or
horses.
The horses.
Well, I don't know if she had the horses, but definitely the carriages. You never know. William then got bored of his trophy wife Lillian, and to get her out of his hair, he gave her $1,000 every day, and if she didn't spend all of it, she would get no more money. So this was 1900s. Okay, that was in 1900s. $1,000 is now worth $34,797, which is 556,439 rand every day.
A day.
A day.
I would just give it all to charity every day.
Yeah,
half of it, or no, not even half, like more than half, because that's still an obscene amount of money.
Yeah, and she comes from money herself, so it's not like she needed it. He just wanted her to be
Doesn't
busy.
Even need it.
Yeah. So I literally wrote here. So while Lillian was off probably wiping her ass with dollar bills, to get rid of it, William was running the brewery during the day and partying it up at night. He would host parties in the caves, and he would invite sex workers to, quote, entertain his friends, which is gross. Yeah. That's such a disgusting thought to me. To each your own.
Because they weren't being treated well.
Yeah. I'm sorry, women aren't there to entertain you. Go away. So this cave had a swimming pool, a bowling alley, and of course endless amounts of beer. Yeah. It was just the perfect party spot,
And this was in the early 1900s.
Yeah, this was
bowling invented.
I actually have no idea. I want to search that. Oh, okay. A British anthropologist, Sir Flinders Petrie, discovered in the 1930s a collection of objects in a child's grave in Egypt that appears to him to be used for a crude form of bowling. If he was correct, then bowling traces its ancestry to 3200 BC.
What?
It's from the 1890s, the modern version.
I didn't say you because of the Egyptian grave. I just said because he found it in the grave.
I mean, that's where you find artifacts, because they used to be buried with all their stuff.
I know, but I didn't expect it to be
ghost bowling.
An Egyptian tomb. I thought it was just in, a more recent.
Oh yeah, no, it's old.
tomb. I was like, why are you there? What are you doing?
So yeah, apparently bowling's been around for a long time.
A very fucking long time.
Yeah, the more you know.
I suck at bowling.
I haven't done it in so long. I'm always too put off by putting my feet in shoes that other people have worn.
I don't wear those shoes.
I don't want athlete's foot. Some weird foot fungus.
No, if you wear socks that are thick enough, it should be fine. But I usually just do it barefoot.
Just put socks on.
When I still did it.
Yeah, put socks on, then put those grocery bag at the shops where you put your fruit and veg and stuff in little plastic bags. Maybe put your feet in that over the socks. And then put it in. It's a condom for your
ice
shoe.
skating as well.
Actually, yeah. Why do I have a problem with the bowling ones but not the ice skates? That's a very good point.
And the ice skating ones are worse because
sweatier.
Can you imagine how many... Exactly.
Oh, gross. why am I okay with that but not bowling? Why is bowling grosser to me? My brain, because it's on land, probably. I don't know. I mean, technically, ice skating is not on land, it's on water. It's a water sport. So.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm dumb in some ways and genius in others.
You're not dumb.
Okay, so, as is expected, after a while, his name is William, yes. William's philandering caught up with him in the form of him getting a woman other than his wife pregnant. So there's no official documentation, but it was said that the boy was locked in the attic of the Lemp Mansion for his life. So this is a quote. According to St. Louis historian Joe Gibbons, when he interviewed a former nanny and a chauffeur who worked at the mansion long ago, both of them verified that the boy did exist and was housed in the attic quarters that also housed the servants' rooms. Spawned from Will's philandering with either one of the many prostitutes or a mansion servant, the boy was born with Down syndrome. A total embarrassment to the family, the boy was hidden away from the world in order to cloak the Lemp's shame. He is known as the monkey face boy, which is just disgusting.
That's fucking
It's
gross.
so disgusting.
Yes.
And this unfortunate soul continues to show his presence at the Lemp Mansion. End of quote. I mean, I have an uncle who has Down syndrome, and there's hardly any difference between him and a quote normal person. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met.
They just have it's just an extra chromosome.
Yeah, it's just so
Not that I'm saying, not that I'm minimizing anything.
No, I know what you mean.
I hate it when people are...
Why call
gross
him monkey face? That's so disgusting. If you're making fun of people with disabilities, just go put a plastic bag over your head. You're suck.
Gross.
You really suck.
You're not the type of person that I want to ever talk to.
Yeah. And to say that the fact that this boy had Down syndrome was an embarrassment to the family, what about the fact that this dude is cheating on his wife with sex workers? That's gross. Why are you cheating on your wife? That's shameful.
You have a bigger problem.
Ugh.
Exactly. I think you have a much bigger problem on your fucking hands.
Yeah. So then, in 1908, William had enough of Lillian and divorced her. The story was scandalous and drew attention, and in February 1909, when the trial began, people flocked to the courthouse every day to, quote, witness the drama of tales of violence, drunkenness, atheism, and cruelty, end quote. I mean, early 1900s.
So they basically treated it like the Kardashians before the Kardashians.
What's wrong with the Kardashians?
Nothing is wrong with it.
Oh, scandalous.
What I mean is they just used it as their...
yeah,
that's
soap
their
opera,
source of
yeah.
entertainment.
Oh, I can't wait to watch the new season. Anyway. So, yeah, and of course, there was also, I saw in some of the places, why didn't Lillian just leave him? She obviously knew he was doing all of this. I mean, obviously, when you see
She's
the son...
a woman in...
1900s. It doesn't matter that she's rich. Yeah, she's...
No.
Yeah, exactly.
She was not seen as a person.
This infuriated me. Lillian almost lost custody of their son, William Lemp III, because a photo was presented in trial that showed her smoking a cigarette. Thankfully, she could keep custody of him, but the fact that because she smoked a cigarette, that's suddenly worse than your husband shagging around behind your back with sex workers and having gross parties and things. Really, that's bad, because you're a woman and you smoked a cigarette once.
Just say you hate women and move on. Yeah. We know.
So gross. Ugh. Well, he didn't have it easy. So, just before the divorce, in 1906, 9 of the largest breweries had merged into one large entity called the Independent Breweries Company, which became the Lemp's most intense rival. So they all kind of merged so that they could be this big opposition against him. Yeah. Also in that year, the 16th of April, Will's mother died from cancer.
Oh, shit.
So the brewery was slowly losing money, but will remodel the house in 1911. And by World War I, the brewery was just barely surviving every month. And then soon after that, he built another, although smaller, home on the Merrimack River. And in 1915, he married Ellie Limburg, a widow and also the daughter of a St. Louis brewer, the late Casper Cooler. So then, most devastating was the Prohibition.
What a surname to have.
Yeah. Well, it's Koehler. Kohler, I don't know. Most devastating was the Prohibition, which began in 1919. So the family lived off of, they had the millions before and all that, so they were fine, and they hoped that the Prohibition bill would be repealed, but it wasn't, and the brewery had to be shut down. Then another tragedy. On March 20th in 1920, William's sister, Elsa Lemp Wright, shot herself. It was said that despite being the wealthiest heiress in the state, she was really broken up about her difficult or failing marriage. So then the brewery and the logos and the buildings had to be sold off. And once the Lemp dynasty had crumbled, William Jr. became incredibly depressed. He started behaving much like his father had during the last few weeks of his life. And in 1922, December 29th, William completed suicide by shooting himself in the heart using a .38 caliber revolver in the same building his father had done it 18 years prior.
Oh my gosh, what?
So yeah, in the same building with the same kind of gun. It's just like, I wonder if it was the same gun.
I was just about to ask you if it was the same.
I don't know.
If it was the same gun.
It's so weird. So yeah, William's brothers, Charles and Edwin, hadn't really been involved with the business for many years. Once William Jr. passed away, the Lemp Empire really appeared to be over. And then, in 1943, William Lemp II died at the age of 42 due to a heart attack. Give me a second. That's the son that Lillian almost lost custody of. So so William shot himself, and then later on, his son died. That's 21 years later, at 42. So the son was quite young when the father killed himself. One of the remaining brothers, Charles, remodeled the mansion back into a residence because during the time it had become a residence, also part of the brewery. It was kind of their office and where they did a lot of their work, so it was kind of both, especially since, there's the tunnels, so it was sort of part of the brewery. He made it just residence, and he lived there with 2 servants and his late brother William's illegitimate child. That would be the one with Down syndrome. Charles became a germaphobe and basically developed OCD during this time. He was, those people who are very with germs and like constantly washing their hands and all of that stuff. And during this time, the illegitimate son died in his 30s.
Oh my god, like 30s. So, he actually lived until he was quite not old, because 30 is not old, but what a horrible life he probably had to lead. Oh my fuck, I hate these people.
Yeah, that is so awful. Oh, yeah, I hate Charles a lot though, because, okay, so,
yeah.
Charles was the 4th Lemp family member to complete suicide. But first, he took his Doberman Pinscher to the basement and shot him.
No. Fuck!
It gets worse.
How? No, how?
He then went up the stairs to the 2nd floor and he shot himself. On the 10th of May, 1949, his body was found and he was holding a .38 caliber revolver in his hand. The dog had been shot in the basement, but its body was found halfway up the stairs, which is honestly the most tragic part of the story.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't like this. What the fuck? Like, I have the utmost sympathy for people who are in that frame of mind and, go through things like that, but I don't understand how you could... I can't. I don't have any words. I don't want to make it worse. I'm speechless. I could never.
Yeah, like I honestly nearly cried when I read that because I was like, that is so sad. Like the fact that he shot the dog is bad enough, but the fact that the dog survived and went to go find him and was like halfway up the stairs, it's so tragic. Because you know how hard dogs love and they're so loyal, and despite him doing that to the dog, this dog was probably concerned about him. I can't.
The thing that gets me is dogs don't understand. They don't understand what's happening. They don't understand why you did that to them. They don't understand why they hurt now and why they can't move up the fucking stairs. And I hate it. I just don't like this.
Yeah, that was the absolute... That's really bad. I think that and the child being, kept in a room is the worst part of the story. The stuff that these people went through, yes, it's bad. And like you said, you don't know what's going on in someone's head, what their reasoning is. And also, if you've had so many family members before you complete suicide, that's obviously something really difficult to understand. But how do you justify locking them in an attic until they're in their 30s? What kind of life is that supposed to be?
You can't justify it because it's inhumane, you know what I mean? Like, yes, I understand that they most likely had a family history of severe depression and suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, and it does play a role in every generation. But abuse in such a high, form, that's not hereditary, you know what I mean? That's just people with screws loose, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. To all of that, there was only one remaining limp child of the siblings, Edwin, and he at least went on to live a long life. He was one of the siblings who didn't really have anything to do with the brewery, so he lived until he was quite old. He died at 90 years old in 1970, living in Missouri.
That's quite recent. In the 1970s, it's not that long ago.
Yeah, it's quite recent, and I saw that after his death, he had, one of the stipulations was that the artwork and records of the family and things like that was to be burnt. So when he died, one of the people that worked for him, whatever, just destroyed everything, which sucks.
But maybe he wanted to get rid of all that bad energy. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. So then after his death, the mansion was turned into a boarding house, and then it was also turned into a restaurant at a time. And while they were building the restaurant, they were renovating, there were reports of apparitions being seen. There were voices and sounds that, were out of place. Glasses apparently lifting themselves off of counters, doors locking by themselves. There's a piano that played by itself when no one was around it, and of course the lights turning on and off. During the construction, some of the workers felt like people were watching them all the time and there was no one there. They had tools go missing, things like that. And then the son locked in the attic. Investigators have left toys in the middle of the room and they've drawn a circle around it, and then they came back the next day and found the toys were in different places in the room. There's also been seen a face pressing in the window of the attic, looking down into the street. So William Jr., the one that had the lavender lady, the wife, he is said to have been seen in the form of a male ghost peeking over the shower stall in the downstairs woman's bathroom.
What a fucking pervert.
This was the area where he once stayed, and of course he's the one who had sex workers come and, quote, entertain his friends, which is gross. Also, this shower was not this same one, but this was the place where the first freestanding shower in the whole state was.
Oh my word.
Almost done, yeah. Okay. So, on one of the videos I watched, there's a lady called Betsy Burnett Bellinger. Also, I just realized that's the 3 Bs.
Belinda. What? Belinda? Who's the other two again?
Bish and Wayne Burt.
Oh, no, it's Bert's Baked Bean.
Oh, Wayne Burt gets me every time. Maybe that should be our tattoo we get. 3 Bs.
I'm sorry, but no.
How about we...
Just 3 random...
How about we do it this way? We get 3 little, actual bees. So it's still 3 Bs, but it's actually bees. So it's both.
I love that. And I love bees, so that works.
And we can still make them murderous. One can have a knife, one can have a gun.
One can have poison.
Good idea. Okay, sorted. So, this paranormal investigator, Betsy Burnett Bellinger, I'm just going to call her Bellinger for short, she says that there are 9 identifiable spirits in the house. According to her communications with the spirits, there is a 16 or 17-year-old boy named Zeke that resides in a room on one of the upper floors. And there's a set of French doors that he hides behind. And Bellinger says that he wants his mother, and he has the mind of a toddler or a very small child. So I'm wondering if that is the guy with Down syndrome. And then I guess his name is Zeke, as he's identified himself. I mean, I would hope that he's not in his 30s as a ghost. If he's still hanging around, it would be nicer if he is younger and hopefully having more fun. But if it's really sad if he's just wants his mom.
Yeah, I was also, that's the first person I thought of is the ghost. But it would be sad if he's just in his 30s and still just lives there and he wants his mom. Oh, this is just all sad.
Also, the dog is still there because a ghost of the dog has been found. Also, the dog's name was Cerva, Cerva, which is almost like cerveza in Spanish. So the dog, it's also still hanging around.
That is so sad. Oh my gosh.
I hope that Zeke and Cerva are playing together.
Me too. I hope that they can at least comfort each other in the afterlife.
Yeah. Ugh. So sad. One of Bellinger's experiences when sleeping at the mansion overnight was, quote, I heard someone walking around the bed, and it wasn't my partner. Who was there? It kept walking and walking and circling, and it felt like it leaned over me and made this gut-wrenching moan, end quote.
I hate that. No. Just no.
And then the last one is from Matt Bell. He's an operator at the mansion, and his wife used to work there. She was working as a maid. So she was cleaning one of the upstairs rooms. She was cleaning out a bath, and she heard someone call her name. So obviously she's cleaning in the bath, and she heard someone. So she answered, "I'm here." And she felt somebody walk up behind her, and she heard the footsteps come into the room. She assumed it was her husband, but he was working downstairs the whole time. So she had been talking to him and stuff. She went downstairs, and she's like, "Where did you go? I was talking to you." And he was like, "I have not been upstairs. I've been here downstairs working the whole time." Which is, ew. I don't think she was back after that.
I was just going to say this exact same thing. You will never catch me there again.
Yeah, so that's just some of the Lemp Mansion. It's such a very sad story. It's such a sad tale. So much loss. And the juxtaposition between having so much money, being such a wealthy family. You've got so much, but it's just so sad, and there's so much tragedy. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's the history that just surrounds it is just very, very sad. And it's like you said, it's just that juxtaposition between potentially having a really, really good life because you don't have to worry about money and things like that, but then, I don't know, having really rotten people around you, I guess. Or if you yourself are a rotten person.
Yeah, again, the two things that really upset me the most is the dog and poor Zeke. That's so sad, because those are two beings that should be protected most of all. If you have Down syndrome, you should be protected. If you're a dog, you should be protected. And yes, I'm putting dogs on par with people because I put animals very high. I think I put animals higher than people, honestly.
Of course, we're all, at the end of the day, we're all interconnected, you know what I mean? We're all a part of a living organism at the end of the day. We might not think like that all the time, but we are on par with every other living creature on Earth. We've fucked up the most. We're definitely not superior. We are inferior, if you ask me, because we just fuck everything up.
Yeah, for sure. And the animals were here before us. This is their planet. We are not supposed to, not supposed to be here. We are the ones who have been screwing up. We're, like you say, we're not superior. We're not more evolved because look at the damage we do all the time. Animals don't do that to the planet.
We might be more evolved, physically, but we're not as connected to nature and to our surroundings as animals are, and as we should be as natural beings at the end of the day. We're way too disconnected.
Yeah. So I just feel really bad for Serva and Zeke in the story. They really got the raw end. But then also, obviously, mental health is such a wide issue. And I mean, the one man developing OCD and, obviously that anxiety and stress was just so much that these people just couldn't handle it. And obviously, it's also inherited, it's in our DNA, the anxiety and all that stuff. So it is really sad that they had to go through that. And obviously, suicide is so tragic. And I'm sure to watch a loved one go through that and not be able to help them, because you can't. At the end of the day, it's their life and their choice, but it's all really, really freaking sad.
It is, and I just wish, our mental health issues are still not as spoken about as they should be sometimes. It's much better than it was, but that's exactly to my point. Imagine what it was like back in those days. They didn't even know anything about mental health, really, because OCD encompasses so much. It's definitely, you can get germophobia from it and stuff like that, for sure, but along with OCD comes, compulsive thoughts, thinking that, okay, if I don't walk through this doorway in a specific way and touch the corner first and then someone's going to die. That's literally, and that's just how the brain works if you have OCD or whatever the case may be. And to be constantly living in a battle with yourself, basically, and a battle with your own mind in a time where there was no help, not even the little bit of help that we currently have in this day and age. Literally no help, because no one believed in it. They just chopped it up to, you're possessed, or if you're a woman, you're hysteric, or whatever. And kind of just, I don't know, having to go through life and, I don't know, just white fist through it. What do you call it?
White knuckle.
White knuckle through it. White fist. Jeez Louise, you know what I mean?
But yeah, it's like you say, I mean, look at how you're born with Down syndrome and you get chucked in an attic for your life. Like, that is insane. Thank goodness we're now in a time where, like, look at Glee, you know, and also American Horror Story, where actors with Down syndrome get roles. It's great. Like, you're supposed to. You're not incapable of living like a quote-unquote normal person just because you have an illness like that. Like, I'm so glad we've at least made some strides. At least.
Exactly, like small strides, but it's still strides nonetheless. Yeah, I think I saw a woman with Down syndrome who was the first either catwalk model or just normal model or some sort of model. But you know, so at least there's some sort of progress at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, some progress is better than none, I suppose. Ugh, yeah. You know, if you are struggling or you know someone who is struggling with mental health issues, there are helplines, there are places you can reach out to. There's, especially nowadays after COVID, there's a lot of online resources where you don't even have to leave the house to get help. So please do look for that. We have some resources listed on the website as well. There is help. You're not alone, so please do reach out to someone. I think people are a lot more understanding nowadays than they have been in the past.
For sure, and it's nothing to be ashamed about. It's nothing to feel embarrassed about. Like, I'd rather someone get help and ask, you know, and asking for help, I feel like is sometimes the most difficult part, but it's just rest assured that there are truly people who understand and there are truly people who want to help you. It's not you against the world. It's the world against your problem. And it's not your problem. You know what I mean? The problem. And mental health isn't a problem. That's not what I mean. I feel like I'm rambling over my words. All I'm saying is there are people who care and people who want to help you at the end of the day.
Yeah, thank you for listening and dealing with us for another week.
Yes, especially this week, because I'm assuming that this episode is going to be quite interesting, especially this last part, because my headphones decided to die and I have to mute and unmute myself the whole time that I talk. So I also hope this I don't sound too different, because I can't use my mic either, because I had to unplug my mic, otherwise I can't hear anything, because it's in my audio jack and I only have one audio jack on my laptop. So thanks for sticking around.
Goodness. Well, I'm so glad I'm editing this week. Yay! Oh my word. Okay, well, thank you for listening. This has been Law and Omen, and you can find us on our website, lawandomen.com.
We have social media at Law and Omen.
You can email us, info@lawandomen.com.
And we post every Sunday. Yeah. Like, review. What was the 3 R's we did last week? Rate, review. Rate, review, repeat.
Oh. Yes, rate, review,
The
rate.
way you threw your hands up, it's just amazing.
I wish
The
people...
sprinkler. It's the go-to move.
I wish people could have seen that. Chanelle doing the sprinkler, it's great. Maybe that should be a special we put on Patreon.
Me dancing, we're mad.
Yes, but I think it would be great.
I would have to be intoxicated. I don't know if that's going to happen again soon. I'm not pregnant. That's not why. I don't know. People always assume that when a woman doesn't drink, she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Let me just decide what I want to do with my body.
Well, on that note...
Goodbye, and don't ask people stupid questions.
Thanks for listening.
Goodbye. I love you.